What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about our last Nightfall weapon of the season that I have covered. This will be all of them. I'm pretty sure there was 8 in total, maybe 9, but we got the Scintillation Strand Linear Fusion Rifle in our heavy slot. That comes from those Nightfalls Grandmasters if you want the Adept version. But we got 3 traits as always on these weapons, as well as some pretty good perks, especially for the PvE realm, where this thing is up there for some really good damage, since it's one of those 3-round burst linear fusions that are very good at damage output. So we're gonna cover all the god rolls as well as those origin traits. So our first origin trait is Stunning Recovery. Stunning a champion partially refills your magazine, triggers health regen, and also improves your recovery for a short duration. Nice, very good PvE perk for sure, especially for endgame content, raids, stuff like that, that there are a lot of champions. Second is Vanguard's Vindication. Like it is on all of our Nightfall weapons, we have final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health. This is definitely not used too much on the linear fusion side for these, but like auto rifle, SMG, stuff like that from our Nightfalls, definitely more useful. Now, when I'm not using Stunning Recovery, Veist Stinger right here is so good, because damaging an enemy with this weapon has a small chance to reload the magazine and increase movement speed while ADSing. Bows receive faster draw time, swords receive faster charge time for this perk being active. So with this linear fusion, we can shoot this thing forever because of this perk, and because we do have rewind rounds on this bad boy as well, which is pretty disgusting with the vestige combo. So you'll see that in a second as well, because of the PvE side of this thing is disgusting. So starting us out in the barrel, as well as just talking about the masterwork that I would look for, would be reload for you, and then using the adept mods or just normal mods. Go with that backup mag if you would like, or charge time mag if you can go with the adept version. But for our barrel, I like chambered compensator, because we get that stability and recoil direction control, especially since this is that adapt burst. Since it has that 3 rounds, it's a little bit easier to control, having that extra stability and recoil direction added to it, making it bounce pretty straight up and down. For our battery, I would go with liquid coils if you're looking for the most damage output, because of our charge time and the other mods that we have on this for our perks, if you will, I guess. This liquid coil helps with that +3 to impact, allowing us to really juice the damage. Even though it's only +3, definitely feels good. Now, first off, third column PvE, we got Envious Assassin. This thing reloads the weapon up to double its capacity with the magazine reserves after defeating targets with other weapons, and since this is our heavy, this is definitely very easy to proc and get Envious to go on, especially in something like when you're taking on orcs where there's a lot of ads, plus you do DPS from a good distance away. Envious gets that full max in the magazine. We're getting about 12 shots in there when Envious is fully procced, maybe a little bit extra. Next option is rewind rounds, which, like I said earlier, rewind with the Veist Stinger is so crazy, because this also, when the magazine is empty, it refills from reserves based on the number of hits. So while Veist Stinger is proccing, it's just going to reload consistently as you shoot until you do eventually run out, and then rewind will kick in. Well, it'll just go right back to being almost full because of how many shots we're getting in because of Veist Stinger as well. Last in our third column PvE, I like Slice. This definitely adds a little element to it by giving sever to targets that we hit after using our class ability, so applies that nice sever. Got a lot going for that, especially on something smaller than a boss, probably like a champion mini boss, something like that. Slice really does do some pretty good work, as well as just in general pairs well with the Strand subclass, creating tangles, etc. So nice little perk, more for the ad clear side of things, or dealing with champions, if you will, but I would go with rewind as my #1 choice in the third column. Now, fourth column got some interesting picks. I do think that I would use bait and switch the most. This would be my #1 choice. Dealing damage with all equipped weapons within a short time gives us this weapon bonus damage. Very good stay staple inside of the PvE realm. Lots of damage output with that 30% of it going into the damage of all of those shots really does add up. That's why the triple round burst is very, very good. So I like having bait and switch as my #1 choice. Second option you got is the good old firing line. This weapon deals increased precision damage when 2 or more allies are near. Being within 15 meters of those 2 allies grants 20% damage only for precision. So that's why I kind of like having bait and switch on, because it's 30% for that 10 seconds, but it doesn't have to be precision for that. So that's why I like that over firing line, but firing line a pretty good choice as well. We do also have the juicy option of surrounded. So when 3 or more enemies are in close proximity, we are getting a good amount of damage increase. Like 40% is insane for a weapon like this, but getting surrounded to proc in every situation, especially if you're doing damage from farther away, might be a little bit hard to have happen. So I think it's a situational perk with surrounded. That's why I like bait and switch better, but also a very, very good perk here. So those would be my 3 options. You could do something like reservoir burst or hatchling if you want, but that's more like really add clear, kind of more fun gambit roll kind of thing. So I would stick with those 3 that I had. Definitely would put this up in that high A tier, maybe S tier for damage, especially since it's strand. Love our strand weapons for sure, since we got that synergy with them. Plus we got rewind with bait and switch, and Veist stinger is absolutely crazy. Probably going to give this a 4.8, maybe even a 4.9. This thing's pretty disgusting in my opinion, so you'll have to let me know if that's a little too high for you, but I really like this weapon for that DPS, and we can use it to create tangles, blow up tangles. It's just the best of everything in my personal opinion, but it also not too shabby in PvP. All right, PvP, definitely what I will like to use best are grenade launchers as well as those LMGs, but if you are good at sniping, I do like the 3-round burst, building this out for a little bit more stability. So mod wise, as well as using that masterwork, would go with stability if you can, as well as your barrel would go with small bore. Gives a little oomph in that range so you can hit some targets at some farther distance. Plus that stability is also +7, really helping with the bounce on the 3-round burst in general. It's going to be very close to 90 the way we have this built out. On top of that right there, we got the particle repeater, gives us even more stability on this bad boy. So in my personal opinion, that's what I would go with as your battery for the PvP realm. Now I really think there's kind of only one option in this 3rd category, but it is pretty solid. So slice we get on the weapon after we use our class ability, and we do use it quite a bit in the crucible, or at least I do, throwing up my shield, rift, or dodging to reload, whatever it may be. But we get that sever to happen, and in crucible can create some nice little explosions, hurting a bunch of people, creating a tangle, etc. So it does have a good little use and niche thing in the crucible that can happen, especially when you're getting 2 or 3 defeats with the weapon. Kind of in that same vein, for the 4th column, we only got really 1 option, maybe 2 in my opinion, that you can use. First one, what I would go with is hatchling, getting those precision final blows or rapid defeats with the weapon, spawn threadlings at the target's location. So this, in combination with slice, you can get a good little sever explosion going on, get a couple defeats, have those threadlings proc, go get everybody that was close to that little kind of sever explosion, get a couple extra defeats because of that, and probably even create a tangle at that point. So that's kind of why I like this weapon and said it's not too shabby in the crucible as well, because we can create sever, threadlings, as well as tangles with this weapon just by getting defeats with it inside of the crucible, and tangles can be pretty deadly. So I really do like this weapon for PvP as well. We also got firing line, if I'm being honest, because if you're staying back shooting with your teammates or at least near them, you're gonna get 20% of that precision damage increase. So taking out a guardian in their super does get a little bit easier with that buff. You're gonna get a defeat anyways with getting them in the head with the 3-round burst, at least. Just a normal guardian, I should say, not in their super. So firing line, again, niche situation in their super in a well, something like that. And next to 2 teammates, you can do a little bit of extra damage, but slice with hatchling is definitely the #1 choice. So like I was kind of saying, this thing has its special spot in my heart. And if you will, for a 3-round burst and for a linear fusion in the Crucible. Has some pretty cool components with that slice and hatchling, so I would give it kind of pretty high for me inside of the Crucible, at least for weapons. I think I would give it like a 4-1 compared to some of the other linear fusions that I've talked about on the channel. So I do really like it. You'll have to let me know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for strand weapons. That's why I put it so high in both of the categories, but really do like it. So you'll have to let me know. I know it's not in rotation for a second, but we'll be able to get it in a couple weeks here once it's back out. We got a little bit of grinding to do anyways. You'll be able to pick and choose your Grandmaster soon, I would assume, with the new season here, or I should say, sorry, the new episode that we got in Act 3. So hopefully y'all are sticking around Destiny. We're going to be doing more on the channel as well with some other games. Not 100% sure what, but we're going to be dabbling around. So let me know what you guys want to see, and keep coming back to the channel with that like and subscribe button. Slap that bell if you haven't. Helps me out, helps the channel out, helps you guys out, not miss out on any of the content as well with notifications. So appreciate you guys as always. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.